This episode is sponsored by TravelIsSwell.com. Stick around and find out how you can get 10% off your next trip to the Caribbean.
We're here with Alex Laurant. This has been really cool discussion so far. Alex is a art director, a concept artist, and designer.
You can follow Alex at Alexander, I'm saying it all French. Alexander Laurent. Alexander Laurent. Yeah. I did. Alexander Laurent on Instagram, and we'll put that up for those watching to be able to follow those, and in the description as well. He's got some great concept art.
Oh, he's posted a bunch of cool stuff.
And a lot of it is really cool.
One of the most recent things we were just talking about is this concept art versus design. Now, Alex, some of the things you were showing on the Corridor episodes from The Mummy, would that be considered, I assume you were doing both art and design on that project, because it seemed like some of the things were solving problems and showing different aspects of The Mummy and things like that were actually built and constructed.
Absolutely right. And simply put, concept art and art direction are exercises in problem solving. When I worked on feature film, not in the effects department, art department in post, but in pre-production art department for Green Lantern some years ago, the production designer, Grant Major, who designed the Lord of the Rings films. I mean, he's
a pro,
highly respected. Sure. He said the production designer's job is to design the production. And it was deliberately like okay, that's really, but what he meant was you're charged with the responsibility, not of painting pretty pictures. You've got a wonderful team of concept artists to do that. And you've got art directors to manage the creative and logistical aspects of different parts of the movie. For a big movie like that, you have to divide it up. So you might have 2 or 3 art directors working under the production designer. But his whole point was, as the top banana on the visual side, it's my job to design the entire roadmap of production from script to being on set and getting all the stuff filmed and literally and then breaking it down again and switching it out for the new set or heading out to the location and coordinating all those pieces. And that's what he meant by designing the production. It's very logistics heavy. And as an art director, you are basically one level up in terms of the scope, the altitude you have to have, and the responsibility you have to oversee a lot of moving pieces. And so that's a description of what I did at ILM and what an art director, but I do now, in fact, at the game studio that I work at. It's a smaller scale, but it's the same basic stuff. I'm constantly relaying communication while also offering specific artistic feedback to the artistic design of a thing. So you talked about The Mummy as an example, designing the miniature sets was a part of designing how the whole shot, we're talking about the opening, first show and tell. This is a piece of concept art for the opening shot, the temple.
Nice.
So
that's right.
This was the epic opening shot. The director wanted to have just be a mind-blowing, epic scale thing to tell people this is not your average horror movie. This is an epic, sweeping adventure, and we're starting in ancient Egypt to set things off. So it was a really kind of, you wanted to really set the stage for the scale of the whole movie, the epic, exotic sweep of it with this opening shot.
It was massive. It really did put you into this massive world from the get-go because of that. Yeah.
Exactly, which is the purpose of any establishing shot in any part of the movie, but especially extra emphasis put on it when it's the first shot in the movie. So just a brief anecdote here. This was built as a miniature, and this has been broken down elsewhere, but it's worth pausing because I happen to have a little prop here.
Into the whole, yes.
This thing is a column. This is an Egyptian temple column made of stone, and it's about 150 feet tall. If you look at this design, if you look over here,
I see.
There's a row of columns on either side of this massive temple. And the tiny little people down here in the plaza. You get a sense of how big we're saying this thing is. So we put all those people in the plaza in. Those are filmed green screen extras who worked at ILM. I'm in there somewhere in the movie shot, and so is my son, Nick, who was a little boy then. He's in there. That was a fun shoot day on green screen. But anyway, all those extras are there. All the people are there to show scale, of course. And this whole thing was a miniature. And a lot of digital matte painting work behind. The Sphinx was a miniature as well. And so just to give you a sense of what goes into making one of these models, This is cast in kind of a foam, and it is then beautifully hand painted and decorated with these hieroglyphic designs by the amazing skilled people at the ILM model shop. And they made many of these. They cast these from a mold because they had to make so many. And the rest of the model is also, you'll see some extra images I'll send of that set because it was a beautiful miniature set.
It's just fascinating because it's like, aside from this being a piece of film history, which is amazing, it just shows how much work goes into making a film, man. Because like just that piece of art you just showed us that you did, it's not even, that piece is not in the movie per se, but it was just one piece of the building blocks to get to that one shot. And like you showed, like all the intricate detail into that one little pillar. It's like, it's so much work.
It just goes by so fast. It goes by so fast.
Yes.
It just really makes you appreciate the level of craftsmanship and artistry that goes into these, especially these bigger movies with creating worlds like this, like The Mummy or Lord of the Rings. You know, there's just, it's every single shot is a masterpiece. You know, it's amazing.
All right, our episode sponsor today is TravelIsSwell.com. TravelIsSwell.com has a knowledgeable traveling specialist team. They handcraft every aspect of your vacation experience. They've been to the resorts. They know what takes place at them. So when you explain what you're looking for, they know exactly what to give you. Make sure you visit TravelIsSwell.com. Enter in promo code TREMENDUM. That's TREMENDUM. And you'll get 10% off your next luxury vacation. And I'm talking like luxury. Like they have the white sand beaches. They have the candlelit gourmet restaurant dinners, lavish, stylish suites, all kinds of magnificent things that you can do on your trip. And they will know exactly how to tailor make it to you and the experience that you are either looking for or desperately in need of. So make sure you visit TravelIsSwell.com and get your getaway on today. Promo code Tremendum. For people that don't really understand miniatures or bigatures or scale stuff, like you're basically holding up what looks like a 3 or 4 foot, column.
Yes.
That represents a 150-foot column in the movie. It's like, okay, well, how does that work? Is it, do you take a little camera?
Yeah.
Is it a big camera?
Full-size camera, full-size camera, but it's all about how you use lenses. And so that's where you have to understand lenses and scale, and any effect supervisor has a thorough understanding of cinematography and camera principles and technical aspects of how lenses work and how you scale things down. There's a lot of science and technical elements to this that I'm not
this is where a lot of the science comes in.
Yes,
yeah,
exactly.
A lot of the science comes in, which is really cool. I mean, I remember we built a church. It was supposed to be a Jungle Island church, and so we actually framed up this building and made the inside look really cool. And that church was supposed to be burned down by like the villagers, and we built like a 4x8 replica of that church. And what was interesting to me is finding out like, oh, well, there's a certain frame rates you need to film miniatures or bigatures in to make them look more like realistic life-size versions. And so it was really interesting figuring out like the mathematics, the science, like how you do certain
where art
things.
and science and math converged
into an explosion of awesomeness.
They really do.
Yeah.
And this is all in you're building this fun, basically tabletop or small miniature model that's just super fun, and yet there's every decision being made about it has to be based on some study and science and thought to plan that out correctly. And that's an art in itself. Some of my favorite moments working at ILM were working with the model shop because there was something tangible and physical about their craft. No slight to the digital artists that I am one of now and work with all the time now, but I'll always be a romantic slob for old school miniature physical filmmaking techniques combined with the best state-of-the-art digital techniques. I just will always salute that flag. It's just, to me, you get the best of both. You get that physical craft, you get light bouncing off of a real object. Explosions and organic stuff like explosions are a great example where that's still gives you a better result. Although
Yeah.
I could be debated on that based on literally the last few years and where we are right now in digital physics simulations and particle systems and fluid simulations have gotten so good that I can no longer really say that. But for decades I could, and I did.
Yeah.
That this marriage of both was ideal. I also again, I'm sentimental about the physical crafting that goes into these models, and how the simple illusion, I think it's thrilling, the idea that it's movie magic, really. It's movie magic brought down to its most sort of old-fashioned meaning of the word magic. You're fooling someone into thinking that something this big is massive, and it works. It actually fools you, because if it's done right.
Oh, yeah.
There's something simple and beautiful about that.
We are on the exact same page when it comes to the practical effects and the marriage between that and visual effects. I mean, look at was it 2 years ago, the Oscar winning 1917, which we loved.
Yeah.
I believe it won for visual effects. And and you look at that movie, most people would look at that movie and say, what visual effects? You know, they're like, what are you talking about?
Right.
You
and
know?
it's like, the fact that you didn't see them
exactly
proves how great they were.
They were so advanced, but they are very hidden in a lot of masterfully done practical sets and blocking and lighting, and it's one of those things, and it's stacked up against, Avengers Endgame or whatever. I can't remember. I think it was Endgame. And you look at that movie and it's like, whoa, wow, everything was visual effects, just about. It was like all CG. So it really goes to show all the different tools we have at our disposal now.
There's the career aspect we've talked about. There's making a living. There's all of this collaborate, all this stuff. Why? What's it for? Well, a good deal of the answer of what's it for is for that. It's for the thrill you get from pulling off an illusion as a magician, as an artist, thrilling your audience, as an entertainer. Your small part behind the scenes, you're thrilling an audience. You're bringing your audience into this impossible story world and faking it. You're faking them out.
Yeah,
but it doesn't
absolutely.
matter. Yeah. It's just such a joy.
I think that's part of the wow factor too, still coming back to this practical notion. When you see a movie like The Thing or something like that, and know that all those things are on camera for real. I mean, that's part of that. Just wow.
John Carpenter's The Thing.
Yeah.
That's the one we mean.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just.
Although they did do that for the remake, they just happened to redo it all digitally.
Yes.
There's that. That happens.
That would be heartbreaking, actually.
That would be heartbreaking.
There's a lot of heartbreak in this industry. Can we just insert that as a big bulletin about the industry? There's a lot of heartbreak. You talk about killing your darlings. Yes. You have to kill your darlings sometimes, but sometimes you'll just watch them as they're killed by others, and just cut your heart out.
Not just killed. Sometimes your darlings aren't just killed; they're brutally murdered in NC-17 fashion.
I'm with you on your metaphor. I'm going with it, man, all the way. Because it's true. But that thing, thing that I love, that I designed, there it goes. Bye-bye.